Hi friends, my name is Borrodante and welcome back to the Mermaid encounter. What if she had like glow things in her skin, like deep fishes have? Cool idea, I thought about that for hair actually. Everyone keeps telling me that the hair doesn't really work well with the cyan stripes in it. Really? I thought it was such a cool idea. But I guess I'm not really making it all that awesomely. I feel like she should be paler. That's a good point. She kinda has a tan. That's my mistake, I wasn't going for a tanned skin. I chose the wrong tone for this environment. Her eyes are so creepy, I think they're looking in different directions or something. Well, maybe a little bit. She's like looking really closely. Like she's looking at her own reflection, not at the kid. Yeah, we should fix that probably. Yeah, great note. Also, paler. The nose looks askew. How about trying to ditch the bra and just placing a few convenient fish scales over the nipples? Yeah, also someone said that maybe the skin of the breasts should just become a bra. And I think we're going with that. It's gonna be a lot more attractive and cool looking, and we will be able to play with the shapes of the breasts, which is pretty interesting, right? Am I right? So yeah, let's do these. And they will have like scales that will be reflective. Something somewhere was like that, some kind of design in some movie or something, like every other movie. X-Men. With regards to the skendering, it might be of use to draw only shadows, that way the lines become part of the rendering and you don't need to erase the line where it would be light. Yeah, surely that would be great and it would be really easy to continue rendering if we would just be painting, like instead of just actually going with the sketch and all the outlines, we would just be painting like shadow of an eye, shadow of a nose. Well, technically speaking, but kind of actually like that. It would be really cool, but that wouldn't be skendering at all, that's just rendering basically, because the point of adding the actual sketching stage is that we would be able to construct, build up the anatomy and geometry. So we need to be able to actually sketch all this stuff and then add other stuff and then not bother erasing all these lines and keep going. I made a big progress, we'll get to that in a moment. Remove the seashell, better make the breasts wrinkled from being in water for a long time. That would be really scary. Great idea, but we're not making a horror scene here. Everybody pushes me to make a horror scene. This particular painting, I want it to be not creepy. Like, it should have a bit of a twist in her personality and all, but in general, it shouldn't look scary. We'll come back to horror in the next painting, trust me, I want that as much as the next man. But yeah, this one, I feel like it should be nice. Okay, now let's talk a bit about the skendering thing. I did this painting, you probably saw it already, I posted it everywhere in all the social networks. So this is my latest take on the whole skendering idea. So this is the pipeline. First we use these transparent spots of this kind of quality. And they just overlay one on top of the other. And it allows you to really easily search the shape even with foreshortening. Because you just paint a shoulder like this. And then you paint a hand and you kind of have an idea that this is some kind of mass overlapping over the other mass, so you kind of can easily create a quick hint on the foreshortening. So that's kind of cool. Then on top of it, after the spots, I added the sketch to define some cool anatomy and all, so I wouldn't mess up that. Then on top I started adding more spots and also a bit sketching for the clothing or something. And basically I already kind of started painting, yet kind of sketching at the same time. So this is kind of cool. It was going pretty fast, this is what I really liked about it. And whenever I noticed that some proportions are wrong, I just selected something with lasso and moved it. I didn't care about messing up some tiny details because there was none. Adding more details to the clothing. Searching mostly in values, like I defined black parts of the clothing or metal, which is also darker. So I started kind of like segregating materials in black and white. And then just more and more coloring and tiny details. It's cool in the way that basically we're bringing all the details out of the air perspective color, like out of the fog. So we don't really have to segregate anything into layers or anything, because I don't know why it just lays down on the canvas so easily and you really don't need anything. Like, details grow only when you're really confident in them. And before you do that, there is no details. There's a whole bunch of mess underneath, like this kind of mess. It was still going on until I defined some color. So this is not a tinfoil psycho. The painting is called "The Sick Prince Arrived Despite the Storm." So there's like a sandstorm and some people that traveled with him here and all that. So, and he's sick, that's why he's wearing this thing on his face. So there's that. We won't be able to use this whole technique right now because that would again mean that we would have to start over. And I don't want to start over anymore. So I don't know, let's see, maybe we'll maybe we'll kind of break things apart in the way that we would be comfortable to change a lot. I don't know, let's start. So let's start with the basic fixes. Let's choose the color of the skin and make our mermaid paler. And change the bra and fix the eyes. 3 things. Okay, less saturated, but also probably brighter, right? Ooh, nice. She starts following the stereotypic look of a beauty with a pale white skin and all. Yeah, now she feels like she's in the water. Before that, it's kind of... she feels like she's really tanned. To get this kind of color in this surrounding. Yeah, this is cool. Let's do the same thing to the hand. A tanned hand. So the kid's head is a bit too long, someone said. Legit. Now let's fix the face. I think we should make the lips a bit more saturated. Also, the thing that I was talking about in the previous episode, and someone already pointed it out, you see how this eye is totally higher than this one? That's because the head is tilted and I'm trying to do this. Not trying, I do this. Oh my gosh, she looks like she had some problems at birth. So I decided to take a break and then I realized that I really need to go to bed. So yeah, see you in a second. Because this is not going well. Oh boy. Okay, so I went to bed, I woke up and I spent the whole day setting up the setup for streaming that you probably have already seen before this video is published. So anyway, the point is that it's late again and I'm probably tired again, but I'm in the mood to search some more on this ridiculous face of hers. What is wrong with you? Pupils are of different size. Bloody weirdo. So let's look up some references of noses. Why not? Okay, I'm gonna leave this page open, but right now, usually it's kinda like enough to just take a look at references, and that's it, and then just keep working because you just got something where you were stupid or something. In my case, I was kind of showing nostrils too much like this when they should kinda like be facing downwards. I think that was the problem. So I spent like 2 hours yesterday trying to paint this nose and eyes and everything like 4 or 5 times. I'm saying all of this with words because I have no idea how much I'll have to edit out, because that was not a productive time I had. This looks nicer than this. Why? Well, because of the nose to begin with. Okay, this way she's a bit more freaky, because eyes are a bit more open. They feel more open, and the eyebrows are more like, huh? So, yeah, I like that. And that is not the problem with her, so let's merge that. And this layer is empty. Always when you have something that seems like an empty layer, you always want to check, like, is it actually empty or not? Can I delete it? Can I merge it? Will it be messed up or something? What I do is I press Ctrl T. If it says couldn't transform because initial bounding rectangle is empty, that means nothing is in the layer. A good way to check things. Also have big thumbnails with the setting layer bounds instead of entire document, because otherwise all these body parts will be really small. So let's give it a try. A new try. Another try. I for some reason want to go very bold and rough with the strokes. And for that I want a really opaque brush. Let's see where this gets us. I don't know why, I just watched a channel of one artist who's like an oil painter. And he's like a hyper-realist or something. And he keeps talking about how you shouldn't blend anything and you should work with really rough spots that would look gross. That's important to do it that way, because when you blend stuff out, as he says, it creates milk. When everything is kind of like blended into, I would call it soap. When everything looks kind of like smeared in a very bad way. So anyway, we have this nose, let's see. Maybe my brain is awakened today a lot better. It's kind of hard, of course, to change the techniques when the face is all finalized, basically. This is actually the biggest problem about this painting, that I have to fix it when it's already so finalized. Like, I would probably save a lot more time if I would just literally start over the whole mermaid. So like that, I'm defining the planes. Just thinking with planes. Which is something I tried to do yesterday, but it was so much harder. I guess I was just tired, I don't know. I'm kinda having a good time painting with such a sharp brush. Very opaque brush. Oh no, there's no highlights. There shouldn't be any highlights. Because when you're underwater, nothing has highlights. That's the thing. Because what makes highlights on the body is, well, oils and sweat or saliva, whatever, like wetness. And when you're underwater, everything is wet, so there's no actual surface of your wetness. So it doesn't create any highlights. So, no sexy highlight on the lip. Okay, you know what? I think the nose is turning out pretty cool. It's probably skewed a bit, the way I always do with tilted heads. But, you know, it's not far from being actually cool. This wrinkle next to the nose, the one that I removed right now almost completely, is one thing that's like really on the edge. If you place it, it looks more realistic, but less beautiful. Like if I wouldn't have, like you can see this wrinkle on my face. If it wouldn't take place, I would look prettier. That's the thing about this wrinkle. And all men usually have it really strong. Like when you're after teen years. It's really pretty when there's a smile, like you can add it when there's a strong open smile. But just like that, you should always kind of avoid it and follow this kind of shape from the cheekbone to the corner of the mouth situation. This is more important to define. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave this as it is right now. I kind of like it. Let's work on the rest of the mermaid for now. I don't know how much I have it in me, but I feel like we might make some nice progress on something at least today, so let's do that. Let's work on the upper body more. Yeah, let's work on the thumbnail. The thumbnail area. Now let's paint it into the scales color and then start sculpting it into something. So someone wrote a big comment after I started painting yesterday about actually adding like a fisherman's net on top with some extra details. I kind of like this idea right now, so let's make it work with the scales and then we'll see, maybe we'll add some details on top. Because one thing that my characters usually miss is enough interesting details in their clothing or whatever. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a different material that's following the surface of the skin completely. And for that, at first I'm changing the color, which wouldn't be like necessarily the first thing to apply, but why not? And then I'll just copy this layer and I'll turn it into maybe overlay, but probably more like multiply because I don't want to mess up what we have initially. So I'll kind of like darken it. Like that. And then on top, using the same mask, This is not exactly a method to paint with, it's a method to fix things with, since we're changing the concept. So I'm gonna be adding this bright color on top areas to create more of a glossy effect. Okay, I like it. As a base at least. Now let's maybe work in the same fashion on the rest of the tail. On the whole tail. This is not the beginning of the tail. But I mean, the rest of the scales. So yeah, I'm just creating a new layer and let's do this. Boy, she looks like she lost her arm at war or something. Such an actual amputated part. So I said nothing is gonna be glossy underwater, and I'm making glossy scales. Yeah, I meant just stuff that was glossy because of moisture. So yeah, skin is glossy because of that, but scales are just like that. Completely different story. Made the booty a bit smaller, because that was a bit overwhelming. Like actually not physically possible. This is such a chill experience. When you're not rushing, just defining tiny little bits, spot by spot, careful as it should be. I'm so in love with painting recently, I don't know what happened. Because of all this skendering idea, I started painting so much, not in episodes, just on Instagram. That's the reason why I decided to start streaming, and I think I'm gonna be doing a lot of that soon. Because I just want to paint whatever it is, like experimenting, and you can't really make an episode out of it. At least I don't know how yet. So good. I need to make like a tattoo on my forehead. There's a lot of place for that. It should say just slow down. Whenever you can't paint something, that's because you're too fast. You should slow down. So good. So good. Actually, this arm is gonna have a lot of reflection of the skin from this side. This is gonna look pretty neat. I love discovering where I can add even more of reflected light. I live for the reflected light and translucency. I constantly overdo it. It's too saturated, too bright. I don't care. It's just so pretty. Is the neck too long? Or is it just long but physiologically possible? Because if it's possible, I want to keep it this way. It's not hard to fix, but I like long necks. Long necks are cool. Let's think on some design on the tail. The previous version didn't work out all that well. Kinda looks like Spider-Woman now. Well, if we make these more subtle and kinda like blurred out, I didn't want to make like actual lines. So a bit more subtle, I think they will work pretty cool. Oh yeah, nice. A very soft increasement of opacity closer to the palm. Looks really cool, like it becomes thicker. Very organic look. Like it's actually the part of the hand now. Cool. Tiny value decisions. That's what's gonna be the most impressive in any painting. Okay, Kid is now super lame comparing to her. Well, she also requires some more work, especially on the abdominal area. This is where I keep working with a chunky brush, but right now I lowered the opacity to 33%. So it's the same chunks, but they are very transparent. And I'm like working around these old chunks, creating extra like half tones in between them with these semi-transparent ones. Really cool. Okay, this is it for this episode, I think. Pretty awesome progress, if you ask me. I'm so happy I've got this revelation about slowing down and making tiny spots and everything. So yeah, this is the stage for now. This we can turn off actually, because it's really not much. But this way she's like a mime. Underwater. It's probably easier to do that underwater. Or even harder, because it kind of sways you around. I don't know. But anyway, she looks a lot nicer now. Although the face requires some more contrast, not enough dark shadows. So we'll keep that in mind for the next time. But for now, this is it. Tell me what you think, and I thank you for watching if you did. I guess you did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe, tell a friend. Slow down. Do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. How do I make a thumbnail? There we go. So we're renaming this into Harry Potter the Mermaid Voldemort encounter.